3 months ago, my credit score was 582. Not because I was irresponsible, not because I missed payments or defaulted on loans. I had simply never used credit, and in the eyes of the American financial system, that made me dangerous. Today, my score is 761. I didn't pay anyone to fix it. I didn't dispute phantom debts or hire a credit repair wizard. I just learned how the game actually works. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. This is the step-by-step blueprint I used, but more importantly, this is how the credit system actually functions beneath the surface. Because the score itself, that's not the point. The point is what it reveals about who gets access to money in this country and who doesn't. Let's start with what they don't tell you. Here's the trick. Credit scores don't measure how good you are with money. They measure how profitable you are to lenders. Think about that for a second. If you've never borrowed money, never carried a balance, never paid interest, the system has no data on you. And no data means no score. No score means no apartment, no car loan, no mortgage, no business line of credit. You are invisible. But if you've borrowed money responsibly, paid it back on time, and occasionally carried a small balance that generated interest, you become visible, trustworthy, profitable. The system rewards you for playing the game, not for avoiding it. I learned this the hard way when I tried to lease an apartment in 2024. I had $40,000 in savings, I had steady income, I had never been late on rent in my life, but my credit report was a blank page, and the landlord said no. That's when I realized, in America, having no credit history is worse than having bad credit history, because bad credit means you've at least participated. No credit means you're a ghost. So I decided to become visible, but I didn't want to do it the slow way. I wanted to reverse engineer the formula. And here's the thing, the formula isn't secret, it's just obscured. Once you map it out, the path becomes absurdly clear. Your FICO score is built on 5 factors. These aren't hidden, they're published, but the weight of each factor matters more than most people realize. 35% is payment history. Did you pay on time? 30% is amounts owed. How much of your available credit are you using? 15% is length of credit history. How long have your accounts been open? 10% is new credit. Have you opened a bunch of accounts recently? 10% is credit mix. Do you have different types of credit? Now, most advice tells you to just be responsible and your score will improve over time. And that's true if you have 10 years. I had 90 days. So I didn't focus on all 5 factors equally. I focused on the 2 that carry 65% of the weight, payment history and amounts owed, and I gamed them with surgical precision. Here's how. Step 1, I opened 2 secured credit cards on the same day. A secured card is a training wheels credit card. You put down a deposit, say $500, and that becomes your credit limit. If you default, the bank keeps your deposit. You're lending them money, so they'll lend it back to you. It's absurd, but it works. I chose 2 cards because credit mix matters, and having multiple lines increases your total available credit, which lowers your utilization ratio. I deposited $500 on each. My total credit limit was now $1,000. Step 2, I set up a recurring subscription on each card. Spotify on one, Netflix on the other, $10 and $15 per month. Then I set up auto-pay from my checking account to pay off the full balance every month 2 days before the due date. This is critical. I wasn't trying to build credit by carrying a balance. That's a myth. You don't need to pay interest to build credit. You just need activity and on-time payments. Step 3, I kept my utilization below 10%. Utilization is the percentage of your available credit that you're using at any given time. Most experts say keep it under 30%, but if you want to move fast, you go lower. I had $1,000 in available credit. I was using $25 per month. That's 2.5% utilization. Every month, like clockwork, the cards reported my balance to the credit bureaus. Every month, the bureaus saw a low balance and an on-time payment. Every month, my score ticked up. But here's where it gets interesting. After 60 days, I requested a credit limit increase on both cards. One bank increased my limit from $500 to $1,200. The other went from $500 to $1,000. My total available credit jumped from $1,000 to $2,200. My spending stayed the same, $25 per month, but now my utilization dropped from 2.5% to 1.1%, and my score jumped 48 points in one reporting cycle. I didn't change my behavior. I didn't borrow more money. I just changed the denominator. Step 4, I became an authorized user on my parents' oldest credit card. This is the cheat code nobody talks about. When you're added as an authorized user on someone else's account, that account's entire history gets added to your credit report. If your parents have a card they've held for 15 years with perfect payment history, that 15-year track record now appears on your file. You don't even need to use the card. You don't even need to have the physical card in your possession. You just need to be listed on the account. My mom had a Discover card she opened in 2006. She added me as an authorized user. The next month, my credit report showed 18 years of perfect payment history. Suddenly, my length of credit history factor jumped from 0 to nearly 2 decades. My score jumped another 73 points. Step 5, I waited. This is the part no one wants to hear. You can optimize the system, but you can't force the clock. Credit bureaus update once a month. FICO recalculates when new data comes in. You can do everything right, but you still have to wait for the machinery to process it. So I kept my utilization low. I kept my payments automatic. I didn't open new accounts. I didn't apply for loans. I just let the system do what it was designed to do, reward consistency. And after 90 days, my score was 761. Here's what's uncomfortable about all of this. I didn't become more financially responsible. I didn't increase my income. I didn't save more money. I just performed responsibility in a way the algorithm could measure. I borrowed money I didn't need from institutions that profit when people carry balances, and I paid it back immediately, so they made nothing off me. But they still rewarded me, because the score isn't about you, it's about them. The entire system is designed to identify people who will borrow money and pay it back with interest. If you do that reliably, you get access to more money at better rates. If you don't, you get locked out. And here's the kicker. The people who need credit the most are the least likely to have it. If you're broke, you can't afford a $500 deposit on a secured card. If you're young, you don't have parents with 18-year-old credit accounts. If you're an immigrant, your financial history doesn't transfer across borders. So the system rewards people who already have advantages and punishes people who don't. And it calls that fairness. I didn't invent this. I just learned the rules and followed them. But the fact that the rules are learnable doesn't make them just. It makes them a test, and most people don't even know they're taking the test. So yes, I built a 750 plus credit score in 90 days. But what did I actually build? I built access. Access to better interest rates, better apartments, better loan terms. I built leverage in a system that runs on leverage. And I did it by playing a game that most people don't realize is a game until they've already lost. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Credit scores are not a measure of financial virtue, they're a measure of participation, and participation requires knowledge. Knowledge of the rules, the weights, the timelines, the loopholes. The average American has a credit score of 715, but 26 million Americans have no credit score at all. They're not irresponsible, they're invisible. And the gap between visible and invisible is widening. Because the system isn't designed to include everyone, it's designed to sort everyone into winners and losers, into safe bets and risks, into people who get access to capital and people who don't. I went from 582 to 761 in 3 months, but the real question isn't how I did it, it's why it was necessary in the first place, and whether a system that rewards performance over reality is actually measuring anything worth measuring.